First, I want to thank the organizations and the organizers and Mr. Wang Sun-Chin and Mr. Huang Yong and their team for their invitation and for the very successful and very interesting event here. This initiative of Xinhua is a very interesting one because until now most events and activities on the BRI, for instance in Brussels, where we are based, are mainly focused on logistics connectivity. Our institute, the European Institute of Asian Studies, is a think tank. We exist already since '89, and we are mainly focusing on identifying and developing new potentials between the European Union and Asia, and we do a lot of work on China. For instance, yesterday we had 3 events in our institute on OBOR. Nearly each week we have an event or an activity connected or research work to be done on OBOR and BRI. Now, what we see is there are quite several challenges for the BRI in the EU. A paradox exists between eagerness for investments but with increased fears for China in the public opinion. There's an economic anxiety and looming populist climate in the EU, and the so-called security threat about Chinese companies acquiring strategically important companies is quite important on the moment. Also, there is an increasing competition between Chinese and European companies on higher market segments, and there is a public opinion pressure on national governance to protect the national economically strategic enterprises. But how to address these challenges? An investment agreement between China and the EU would be a big step forward. But the BRI is not only about connectivity between economies. People-to-people bonds are also extremely important. The China's government visions and actions on jointly building the Silk Road Economic Belt Initiative defines people-to-people bonds as one of the 5 major cooperation priorities. But there is still very little attention given to connectivity and services. And this includes information services, information, financial services, education, culture, etc. In fact, services are an important part of the people-to-people bonds. And although, except for the financial sector, many services with great potential are underexposed and rarely explored in the narrative of the Belt and Road Initiative. Services can be really a major contributor for jobs and growth and can strengthen ties and understanding between the peoples along the Belt and Road Initiative, such as education, culture and creative industries. We're developing an increasingly sophisticated economies, creativity and innovation are crucial to add value and to ensure competitiveness. With our institute, we are really focused on developing bridges between China and Europe in the fields of education, culture and creative industries, in innovation and also in youth entrepreneurship, it's also part of it. And there is really a huge need in creating and developing a better understanding, perception and exchanges between China and the EU in these fields. Because also both China and Europe have identified the CCIs as a new innovative source of economic growth and employment. But also, and I think here Xinhua and CIES, what they are doing here, in fact they are jumping on this opportunities on developing more service connectivity between China and the EU, and that I think is a very good initiative what's taken here. But there is also still another problem, and we see the problem is also on perceptions, and I think this initiative is also, as it's an initiative also really also based on information services and media services. There's a huge problem still in Europe, I would say, based on perception of China. And this perception is mainly still based on stereotypes of China 5 or 10 years ago, and which is not anymore, in fact, the reality of China today. China is so fast changing that people in Europe even don't have an idea about it. So stronger engagement of EU is needed, and we should work hard on changing this perception of China. And therefore, EU should really become more involved and engaged in this BRI, because it's not only a part of fear and criticism, but there's also a question of hardware versus software. That's a part of perception, in fact, the software. And I think also China should work harder on that, because until now what we see is China has been mainly working on the substance, but not enough still on the packaging, on working on its image. Not only the packaging, it's not only the substance, but it should be a good balance between both. And I think this initiative here, I think also of Tsinghua and CIAS, I think it's a good step forward. So let's give all our support to this initiative. Thank you very much.